Hey, welcome back to Turntable Guy. On the bench today we have a dual CS-515. And if you go way back into my repertoire videos, this would have been the very first turntable that I filmed. This is not the same unit, but the same kind of turntable. And I did that one with a camera off to the side, so I never thought I got a good view of what was going on as far as the repairs, because when I do one of these, I really like to tear them down. The 5 series of duals are all pretty similar. You get the 505, which is a little bit different, but once you get into the 51, like the 515, the 514, they're all extremely similar, and the CS-515, all very similar as far as the chassis and the actual mechanism within the turntable itself. Another thing I've been noticing is that I have to say that the turntable brands that cross my bench the most have definitely been Techniques and Duals. They obviously sold a whackload of turntables back in the day, and they're still in service because they were well built. I really like this series of turntable. Yes, it is kind of plasticky, but it sounds good. They're very reliable, but like most duals, they require service. So we're going to do a complete on this one, and I'm going to get going on it by, first of all, just giving it a quick test just to make sure how things are working. This is a gentleman who owns a record store who purchases tables once in a while when he gets a deal on a bunch of records, and he likes to bring them here first to make sure that they're serviced and running properly before he puts them up for sale in his record shop. So this one is an auto return. That's good. I don't know if these actually use the old style rubber Steuer pimple. They might actually have a hard plastic peg. So all right, so it's turning on and off. Let's see, we got queuing. Queuing works. 33 and 45, that's good. This one's got an adjustable pitch control. I think the speed is off on this one. It's tough to see the, let me get that off there. It's tough to see the strobe on these because it's kind of buried in this window here, and it's got a really dim LED. But I think this one's got some speed issues, he mentioned to me. Probably just a dirty pitch control as usual. Okay, so let's begin. Let's remove our head shell. And this one has a dual OMB series cartridge. And it's got a original Ortophone 10 series stylus. It's a great match for this arm. Good to see that there's no platter mat rot here. That's good. One thing that's nice about the 515, which is it's got a better arm than the 514, and it also has a dampened platter, so there's no ringing in this. And what they do is they put a tube of this is actually aluminum covered in rubber, and they glue it to the outside of the platter, and that really deadens the sound. There's also the strobe marks under here for 33. No 45 strobe marks. And this is a 60 hertz platter. So nice platter on these. Here's your classic, what I was talking about, the classic dual mid-80s design. Sub platter on the chassis here. Get the power supply. Classic. 2 wires going out the back here, strapped down. Motor control in the front. So very easy to service. Let's have a look at our belt. Okay, our belt is a little shiny. This side is dull. Still has excellent elasticity. So we'll give that a cleaning. And we'll turn it around. Okay, just looking at this sub platter, as you can see here, if I just give it a gentle spin, it doesn't spin very much and it kind of stops dead. So that obviously needs some new lubrication. So to access that, you have to get the turntable mechanism out of the case. And to do that, And this is where I was talking about that last video. It was kind of hard to see where I was working. Let's take off our counterweight as well. Unplug it. So what you want to do here, there is a screw. What the hell was that? Oh, it's just a hinge. Oops. Nice. One hinge falls right out. The other one's stuck. So there's a screw right here, okay, on the, let's call it the right side, if you're looking at the front of it, right here, that has to come out. And there's two in the front. Sometimes these two screws are missing, 1 and 2, and they don't, you might turn it over and they're not there. And sometimes I've seen them from the factory where they're not there, because this is clasped in 4 different spots. That's the front faceplate. So you want to remove these 3 or that 1 screw. This screw is always there, the one holding on the, there's a little trim piece underneath the tone arm. So you have to remove those. I see there's all sorts of interesting stuff living here. Looks like cat hair. Vacuum that up a little later. All right, so the first thing you want to do, you want to remove the faceplate. So to do that, you can do it a couple ways. You can do it with your fingernails if they're strong enough, or get yourself just a little screwdriver like this and just put it right here on the edge. Just pop that out. And then you want to release this little clasp here. And then it'll just sit like that. Then you can do the other side. So same thing. Put your screwdriver here. And just pull out a little bit like that, just to dislodge it. Oh, went back in. Let's do this one here first then. This one's being a bugger. There we go. All right. So once you have that, you can turn it back over. All right. And what you're going to want to do is you just want to gently pry up just a little bit while pulling out on the faceplate, okay? Just like that. And that should release the front faceplate, just like that. And if you're doing a restoration, then you can give this a nice wash, clean it, and polish the the little windows here for the pitch controls. Give that a nice cleaning. But we're not here to do a restoration. This is just a service to get it going. All right. So now you have access to your pitch control here, and you've got 2 pots here, and those are on the motor control board. And what I like to do is give those a little shot of contact cleaner. We'll do the pitch control, the actual pitch pot, a little bit later. All right. So the next thing you want to do now, view, good, okay. Just unclamp your arm and just move it forward. You're going to grab a flathead screwdriver. I had a flathead screwdriver. Did I put it back? I did. So grab a small flathead screwdriver, and you're just going to insert it into these 2 slots. So here, pry up a little bit, and here. Pry up just a little bit, and this is going to remove this whole piece here. So once you're pried up, pull forward. Careful, there are some tone arm wires underneath here. All right, so there's your another piece of the puzzle here. So we're going to take that off, put it aside. All right, so now you have access to your main turntable mechanism. Okay. Another thing you can do is these controls right here. Once you pull up a turntable, they're going to want to come with it. So just, again, that same screwdriver, just pry up just a little bit like that, gentle, and release it like that. Okay, so there's your controls. And just leave them like that. And the last thing you can do is you can unplug your motor control wires. That's for your pitch. And I don't think the LED has to come out because it's plugged back here onto the power supply. So I think we can now lift up the turntable. All right, 3 screws. Actually 4, if we count the strain relief for the power cord and RCA cables. Because you're going to have to pull those through the back. All right, so 1, 2, 3. Set those aside. You might as well remove the strain relief one as well. There's the strain relief. Just put it aside. Now the cables can freely come through when you lift this up. And that's what we're going to do here. All right, so this is all going to come with it. You have one set of wires attached to the base of the turntable case here, and they are the motor control wires. You just have to release them. And then you can unplug, right here, unplug this cable. Okay, now we should be free. You don't have to pull the AC cable through, you only have to pull your RCA cable and ground cable through. Looks like we might have to take this out because, yeah, the speed controller is attached here. So one more right here. So take the pitch wheel out. So 1 screw and a little clip here, and this whole wheel will come out just like that. All right. Just put that over there as we continue to pull our RCA cables through and our ground cable. You can leave the power supply where it is. Take your case, give it a clean out, whatever you like, and then set it aside. So now you're presented with the classic dual turntable mechanism. On the bottom, there are, there's 4. There's 4 rubber feet here. Okay. Now, I have found, there's a lot of cat hair in this thing. I have found that the grease on the main cam here is good. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to change it. And it looks like this does not have a Stoyer pimple on it. It's just a peg, so you don't have to mess with that either. That's good. A little dirty. All right. I guess the first thing we'll take care of, let's take care of this very sticky main spindle here. And it's not horrible, but you should keep going. It's definitely not. So to do that, you have 1 screw on your bearing well, and you have lots of cat hair. So just a flathead screwdriver, which is nice. It's a nice big screw, so you're not going to lose it. So unscrew that. Maybe I did lose it. No, I got it. You can pull this out now. There you go. So there's a little smidge of, looks like oil on there. Doesn't look very good. And inside the well, if you can see that, there's basically no lubricant left. That's typical. Very typical. So we will proceed to clean that out. Let's have a look at the condition of this oil. Not bad. Okay, a little bit of alcohol on a cotton swab. Clean that out. All right, and then a little bit of alcohol on a paper towel. Clean your spindle / axle. Just like that. Oil, non-detergent 10, not 1030, just straight 30. What I like about this one is the screw hole for the retaining screw is big enough that if you do happen to overfill this, it acts as a vent hole and it releases, you know, any hydraulic pressure that's building up. So a little bit of oil on your main spindle / axle, and put that back in. Just like that, okay? So, you saw how it was turning before. How's it turning now? See the difference? Just keeps going and going. It's totally silent. I like a little bit of a thicker oil on these duals for their main spindle bearing. Okay, grab your little screw and put it back in. Okay. While we're here, fresh paper towel. Again with the alcohol. Whoa. I think I went a little crazy with the alcohol there. Whoopsie. That came flying out, eh? Well, I'll give this a wash. So just clean around where the belt rides. I gotta wipe this alcohol up off my desk here. That's where the belt rides. That's just cleaning the edge. Of course, I got enough alcohol in here to clean the whole turntable, but it'll dry. It evaporates quickly, so we'll just give this a wipe while we're here. Actually, there is some dried up grease right here that we can just give a wipe to. And I'll just wipe off my desk. The reason I sometimes call this my desk is because this was my computer table, my computer desk when I was a kid. I had my first Pentium computer on here. I had a Pentium 75, I think it was. And I don't know if you guys had Commodore 64s, but Commodore used to have these purpose-built computer desks. It was nothing more than a table with a little slot on the side where you could put your 1541 disk drive, but I had one of those too. That was pretty cool. Now let's clean off this grease over here. I never understood why this grease is here. It really doesn't do anything. All it does is dry up. I'm not going to waste all this alcohol. All right, good. So that's the main bearing. It's just auto returning there. We'll service the motor when we get it back in the chassis. All right, do you want to see me put it back in? I think it's probably a good idea. Set this aside. Bring your case back. And we'll service this inside as well. I'm just trying to figure out what we can service outside the turntable, we can service inside. Let's just let's continue with it in. Okay, RCA cables back through. I did do a sound test on this one before I started shooting this video, and believe it or not, the RCA cables were fine, which is an absolute rarity for dual turntables. I don't know who they had to supply their cables, but they were garbage. There's not many dual turntables that I work on that I don't have to replace either the entire cables or at the very least the RCA plugs. But this one, amazingly, was okay. So, plug your motor back in. And you want to run that cable. There's a little clamp there, you'll see it. That just keeps it out of the way. And then you can just kind of drop this in for now. You can put these back in, just like that. And then we'll service our main pitch control here. You can just remove that wheel. How does that look? Can you see that? Yeah, good. And grab your contact cleaner and give that a shot. Give that a shot. We've already sprayed these two pots here as well. I don't know if we'll need to touch those or not. Just give that a nice back and forth. Distribute the cleaner. Okay. And I think I have to relift this. I locked it down with the cable in the bad spot here. This needs to go at the back. There we go. Back down and snap like that. Good. And this just goes back in the front here like this. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze. And then there's a clasp at the back there. Grab your retaining screw. And button it down. And then this yellow wire goes back. Which way does it go? Goes that way. There. And those just tuck out of the way like that. Okay, now we can set our table back in here. Just like that. And we can clamp down our RCA cable and our ground cable. And you'll see that they've already got these ridges on them from where they were sitting there before. So they'll naturally want to go back into their resting position. You got to put them both side by side. Something like that. And then grab your strain relief and clamp that down. Don't go crazy on this. Just like that. Tight, but not too tight. Metal screw past plastic post, not too tight, okay? All right. So let's plug it in, because we're going to do a little motor service. Plug her in. Electric motor oil. And what you want to do is put a drop at the base of the post, of the spindle of the motor, and you're going to let that creep down and lubricate the top bearing of the motor. So all you got to do is slide that over and let that motor run a little bit. And while it's running, you hear how that quieted down? I don't know if you could hear that or not. It was a little noisy when I started it, and then it shut right up. And that's the oil getting in there. So grab a Q-tip, a little bit of alcohol, and just clean the pulley. Which is kind of yeah, this is a little chewed up. I'm not liking the look of this pulley at all. Yeah, this pulley is it's not in the greatest condition. It's not awful, but it's, I know it's going to be really hard to see. I can't even focus in on this. It's just, it's not belt residue. It just looks a little bit, it's a little bumpy. Okay, so let me show you something you can do about that. Okay, this is, what is this? 1,000 grit, maybe? So grab some really fine sandpaper. You can even use an emery cloth or a Scotch-Brite pad, okay? So just cut off a strip like this. It might even be too thick. It is too thick. We'll fold it in half. And we're just going to run that against the motor while it's running, and it'll polish up the motor. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so let's do this. So just run it against, don't push too hard. This motor does not have a ton of torque. And we're just going to put, man, this motor has no torque. What if we change to 45? Get a little bit more speed out of it. That's better. It's polishing up pretty nice. Let me continue on with that. I don't want to bore you to tears. I'm going to keep polishing that that pulley, and then maybe I'll get in there for a close-in view. Okay, it's polished up. Basically, you're just, if you can see that piece of sandpaper there, you're just taking off a little bit of brass, right? And now it's smooth. I don't know what it was with it. It was terrible. I'm just going to clean it off a little bit more. There. Much better. So whatever was bumpy there is now gone. All right, so now we are going to clean our belt. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the shiny side out this time, but we'll still give it a clean. Just rub that through. Any dirt, grease, and oil. These dual belts are remarkably long-lasting. I very rarely see a dual belt die a miserable death, whereas a lot of Japanese tables, the belts, when they die, you see it. So that's what came off the belt. And as it's drying, that's the shiny side. So we're going to have this out now. We're going to have the nice dull side on the inside. Right, so shiny side out, and you can kind of see where the motor was resting. It probably sat for a long time. I would say right there, right here. That's where the motor was sitting, or the pulley. It was sitting against the pulley there. So there is a chance that it could make a little bit of a wobble in the speed when it hits that. And if you want to be really certain about playback quality, replace the belt. All right, let's check speed while we're at it here. Okay, oh, I got auto return first. Glad to see that auto return is working. All right, as you can see here, we're on 45 and it is fast. And what we want, if you want it somewhere in the center, which the pitch wheel is, that's good. So 45 is good. When we switch to 33 now, see 33 is just a bit slow. So what we're going to do is we're going to touch that pitch control pot to get it so that you don't have to mess with the pitch control every time you switch between 33 and 45. So we'll just grab a little screwdriver. I think it was a Phillips. And no, it's a slotted. So one of these is 33 and 45, right there. So I'm going to adjust and see how we do. That's definitely 33. Let's check 45 again. It's fast. Got a little bed here. Maybe that was the 45 pot. That might have been the 45 pot. Yep, I was adjusting the 45 pot. You usually have to adjust 45 first. So I'd say right there. Now we'll switch to 33. And we'll adjust that. Yes. Looks like counterclockwise to slow down. And that, my friends, is right on. Good. 45, right on. 33, right on. Right on. Okay. Speed is done. Good solid speed now. So now we will begin the reassembly. Really simple. Grab this part here, slide it over, yet under, over this arm here, but under the arm anti-skate. Careful not to catch on to the tone arm wires here. All right, once you get that, you can lock in your arm, and this just snaps straight down. That's it, okay? Faceplate, same kind of thing. You just want to kind of line it up. Be mindful of your buttons over here. And just kind of tilt it upwards a little bit. Get your pitch wheel through the slot. Done. All right. Just unplug that for good measure. We've got 3 screws to put back. There is the screw that holds in that plate where the arm is. So that goes back. And like I mentioned, you may or may not have the 2 screws in the front. Okay. So I'll put those back in. One and 2. All right, so we serviced our motor, we serviced our bearing. Now we're going to put the counterweight back on. And I did take the opportunity to clean the stylus. It's still got a little, pretty decent. I say about halfway as far as wear is concerned. Let's bring up this collar here. And this table will be very similar to that 503-1 that I restored. Very similar. All right. I think we're good. Okay. Get your platter back on. Your mat. Let's balance up our arm. Set your counterweight spring to the 0 mark. I would leave your turntable unplugged for this. Swing this out. Set your anti-skate to 0. And then move your counterweight out until the arm is perfectly balanced, which is right there. Okay. Lock your arm in. This is a Ortofon 10, so this tracks at 1.5. It's pretty light tracking. Turn that to 1.5. This is an elliptical cartridge, but there's no different markings for elliptical or conical in this one. Set your anti-skating to 1.5, and guess what? This CS-515 is 100% serviced. Let's give it a listen. This one does come with a ground cable. You turn on the amp and make sure we have no hum. No hum. That's a great sign on a dual. Good sound in both channels. Excellent. And let's see our cueing. Let's try that again. Oh, that's fine. Cueing. Speed is totally stable. Auto return. Excellent. Done. There you go. So that's an overhead view of the 515. That's the first turntable I did on this channel. Just in case there were some items that were difficult to see, that turntable had a problem with its start-stop switch. It would not start when the arm was moved out. This one's fine as far as all those features are concerned, and it's running great. So that's this one. I just want to show you one thing before we go. And to do that, I'm going to have to unplug you and move you. I just want to show you something. So I get a lot of questions about turntables. Yeah, a stack in here for repair right now, but I want to show you something I just worked on that I did not film. And there's a reason that I don't film these. Sorry about that. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, this here is a dual 1210. Okay, actually, let me pull it a little bit. And I did a restoration on this one. And I started filming it, and then I stopped. And the reason for that is there's just so much to do on these. It's impossible to do it in a video. I'm gonna mess up. Nice looking table. This is a Noresco branded case here. It was a Canadian distributor of dual turntables. So I worked on this one the last couple days. It came in, the arm was not moving. So when you unlock the arm, you can only bring it about this far, and it was locked. So obviously something was locked on the table. Usually the what's it called? The idler wheel was stuck. Not a big deal. I had to take it apart, and once I got going on it, it was a complete lubrication nightmare. Just about every part, including the speed control here, which physically moves the idler wheel up and down to a different portion on the main motor pulley, was stuck. The pitch control didn't work. The start-stop switch was stuck. The only thing that actually worked was the queuing. This record size selector here, it was stuck. So I think I spent probably 4 hours just cleaning grease, disassembling and cleaning grease. Other than that, once you get that done, they work, and they work great. I had a few issues with speed, but that was taken care of just by sanding down very lightly the idler wheel. The main platter on this is very beefy, very heavy. But I honestly don't see the reason, or not the reason, but I just don't see an opportunity to film one of these and people to get anything out of it, because there are so many videos on these. But the best way to service a dual of this vintage is there's a great website out there. I think it's Dual Reference, if I remember. And it basically goes through every step of the process. And it's a lot easier following that than it is to follow a guy doing it on a video. At least that's what I found. I had to learn these by doing them. I charge more to do a 12 series or 10 series dual because they're that complicated. And I don't know, maybe someday I'll film something like this, but there's just so much to do, and it would take hours and hours of editing to make it work right. So anyway, I thought you just might like to see this this dual. Really nice example. Case is beautiful. I cleaned it all up. I gave the platter a nice cleaning, and it's got a bag of goodies that came with it too. I thought this was pretty cool. It's got the original changer peg here, the spindle that goes through there. It had a little bag with the original needle. One of the issues with this 1210 series though is it doesn't like, if you have the 2-pole motor, it doesn't like magnetic cartridges very much. It tends to hum. So these ones probably came from the factory with a ceramic cartridge, and they don't hum. So I think Shure M75 or M91 are a little bit more resilient to not humming. But this has got a non-factory XL cartridge on here, and it's a little hummy when it gets going, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's totally silent. As soon as you hit start and the motor starts spinning, it hums. So it's definitely motor interference. But anyway, I thought you might like to see that. And like I said, I get a question once in a while, will you do a dual 1245 or 1218 or 1219? And I haven't got around to filming one yet. It's so much to look after. You want to do it right, and I don't want to do a half-assed job and then somebody mucks it up if they're following instructions. So anyway, guys, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed the dual CS-515, which is a lot simpler to service than this puppy here. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.